All right, let's get started. As I said to a couple people, it's going to be a quick one today. I don't have a lot of droning on to do. I want to just talk over the, not ideas, but advanced design thoughts when creating designs. And then I'm just going to go over importing or placing images into the document. Maybe new to people and understanding it, kind of like I'm pushing you guys to learn some things that you might not know yet. So first one, let's talk about shapes. So when we work in like Illustrator or whatever, there's a default to this black and white. Let me turn on properties here. The fill is generally like white and the stroke is black. That sometimes changes if you like closed out, open again, or if you work like open like 6 documents, it just kind of stays on that last one. And when I draw, say just a square, I get that. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to draw another square, but I want it to be 50% gray. And you can go down here and it should tell you that's 60, that's 50. The part that we don't need and it's hard to get rid of is the black box, the outline. It's not hard to get rid of, but we're so used to growing up, I hate to say it, and drawing or growing up and coloring, and everything has a outline around it, and it doesn't need an outline around it anymore. The color doesn't spill out if you don't have the outline, and we know it's there. So I can do stuff like, I'm going to take these 2, and I'm going to go to the stroke here, and I'm just going to go to that red line. I'm turn it off. But Joel, now I only see 1 square. Well, you can arrange and bring things back and forth. Remember I talked about that. You go to Object, Arrange, and I can bring the front. Well, now I know there's a white square there because it's cutting in front of the gray square. But we don't need to show the outline. And it's not always, I'm pushing it with the white square, but I mostly mean it with the gray. And you can do amazing things with just gray and no outline. And I'll show you the difference. I'm going to quickly do this. Let's see. I want to do this. So I just took a shape and I used the direct select tool and I grabbed an edge and moved the edge. I grabbed the lower edge, moved the edge. And now I'm just going to kind of like do this. Now I have that. It's implied, if you kind of look at it, it's like a mind game. I don't need to then do this. Or I can. This works just great. So I can do that. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? It like starts to look like steps. Or I can do this. And I'll do it on all of them. All right. So that's implying, distance. But what we don't need, and just sorry for calling you out on this, is like, I don't want to see this. Because it's actually oddly like more distracting to look at. Like everything has like, you don't need the baseline where my shapes are. And I talk a lot about this more in like the 3rd semester courses when you start, and I'll bug you guys. No, actually, I'll bug you in this course. If like later on you'll be doing like drawings of like little images or like a bear or something like that. And I'll be like, take off the black stroke. Like the color's not going to fall out. It'll look far more sophisticated if you stop using the black stroke. And I think the reason why we all use it, or it's used in the beginning, is it's an automatic that it stays on. So like when you open up Illustrator, it's like already on a black stroke and a white fill. But if you just simply like work with it and just remove it, it starts to look a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit stronger design. I think I did this one. Draw a box. Or actually draw a triangle. I'm going to add a point. This is advanced. I'm going to add a point. That's the change point. Intersect it. Boom. I added a point to the box. So each one of these edges is called a point, but I added one in the middle there. So I can go and I can select that point and hit delete. Oh, not return. Delete and delete. Oh. Must have been on the edge. Oh, it deleted my edge. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know why it deleted my edge, but I can just reconnect those. Where's my point? All right, whatever. All right, so, but what I saw, we do this and I get it centered and squared up. And then I can add, if I add black to half, and I know that's gray, I'm going to change that to black. I'm going to send it to the back. Now I'm going to go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. You'll be doing a lot of that. This is, that kind of that's going to show it. And I'll block off this. Sometimes I do it a little cheaterly way when I'm working on a design, because you should always work with what's called bleed. That's why I put that white template on top. So when you do your drawings, if you pull past, you don't see it. And I'm pre-working in something that's called bleed that you should always use in your documents. I will talk more about it in the future. Then I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to color those the same color so you don't see them. Now, this again, it's 3 angle. It's not perfect. It could be a corner of a room. But if I do this, and I add the black stroke to it, nope, yeah. It's that black line's not needed. I have different glasses. I can't really see up there very well, but it's just kind of why is that black line there? Is it needed to show that there's a change from gray to white? I don't think it is. And so we should stop stop having that. Do I need to show the difference between this color and that color by having a line there? Or can the colors just go next to each other and just be happy as clams? And I think they can be next to each other. I don't think you need to do that. So I said it to one person, and I'll probably have to say it. Well, this class is very small, actually. There's 9 of you, 7, 9 of you. I'll probably have to say it again, but you'll start to hear me be oh, turn off your outlines. It's not needed. And you can just do it in properties. When you select that shape and you go to that outline, just turn it off. It's not needed. So kind of, as I said, it's on as a default. If you want to use it as a helper, while you're drawing stuff or you're getting your shapes aligned, and then go in and start turning it off. And then, go back in and be oh, I have outlines. Do I need them? Turn them off, see what it looks like, see what it doesn't look like, and things like that. There are also 1,000 times where outlines are great, but that gets into the bigger theory of is the outline being used as a design element, as we learned in the first part, over just a thing that was turned on. To give an example of that, why talk about it and not example it? Oh, here I said it's gonna be a short. Say I make a tierish, dropish shape. Paisley. That's paisley, not a teardrop. It's a paisley. And I wanted to for my design, I wanted to accentuate it. And then I was yeah, that accentuates it. That doesn't accentuate it at all. That just kind of puts a line around it. There's nothing great happening here. There's two things I could do with that. And one, I generally never add it to the shape, but I'm doing it on this one. I'll zoom in on this one. Now under stroke, you can go down and there's a million other things. And I always tell people like, play around. So one of them, I can increase the size of the stroke. That's not always a solution. But then there's like some fun things down here. And I feel like you can add to this. There's a way to download other ones. But even if I do like this, and like make it thick. See how it changes the line from thin to thick to thin, and it starts to make more interest. It starts to make that line, instead of just like bunk, a little bit more interesting. There's a bunch down here that you could do that kind of add life to it and make it seem more drawy. I still don't want you to do that on these projects. This is like later on. So I'm just kind of showing you like when you're really thinking, then every element has to use this line weight and this style and stuff like that. And that's where it comes in. Like when it's just not a plain outline. I see this and I just like, it kind of makes me like, bleh, like gross. So I'm going to turn this off and I'll show you the other one, which I do far more often, is I'll make a copy of this and I'm going to make this black. And I'll make the stroke black, and I'll make the stroke like huge. I like doing this. And then I'm gonna go to Object, Arrange, because I know I duplicated it. I know it's on top, and I'm gonna go send it back. And then if you want to accentuate that teardrop, you're like, oh, it's not. Then you like offset it, and like you can do like cool stuff like this, and then like I'll grab that and I'll turn it, and I'll get like give it some form so it's like more expressive. And then like that's an outline. That's an outline that's a design element that could be used repeatedly throughout a design rather than that. So as of now, and in this class, no, don't use outlines on stuff. Like turn them off, do your design, turn them off. It will look better. I know it's kind of like this. It's ingrained in our brains from early age, and we look at every, cartoon. We get our coloring pages and cartoon. We watch cartoons on TV, and we get like our anime and all that gibberty jazz. That's done because that is the style in which it's created. But we start to up that when we do better designs. I even worked, I don't want to, I guess I'm not going to do it. Like I said, I'll kind of keep this short. I just talked for 12 minutes on outlines. So don't do it. If you did it and you heard from me, just kind of go back, erase them. See what you can do to just use black, white, and gray shapes with no outlines to show form either within the full box, or you can do a form floating in the box as well. Push your bounds. That's my other thing, is like you can do the easy one or you can do the harder one. Always do the harder one. Give yourself some time and be like, I'm gonna show Joel, make a form. I'm gonna show him a form, and then it's like super great. Always try to like beat the instructor at their own game. All right, enough about that. Don't save. Let's just go through, since I had to fix everything 3 weeks later. I'm in week 3, and I go to my design practice, and I start my attempt, and I go, and I want to download Go Milton. We're going to download it. Oh, crud. Okay, good. Earlier today, Blackboard was being extremely slow with downloading. So then I'm going to open it again. On a Macintosh, you can just double click. On a PC, you have to right click and go to extract all. Then it'll create a folder for you. Here are all the links. The links are the images that are placed into the design file. They always have to go together. And that's why I created a links folder. And that's why when you open any of mine and you open it, you're like, it's asking me to find these. You just have to find one in the links folder, and then it'll tell you like, oh, I found the rest. I'm happy. Some of the linked objects in this document have been updated. All right, great. Let's zoom out. I don't know why it says that, but it should be fine. You can go to View window and Links if you wanted to find out more. I don't know why it's saying it. These are fine. It would give you, instead of this little linked icon, it would give you a yellow warning. I think it's a yellow warning triangle. And then you just go and you double click on it, or you go and you click that and you go to relink. And it just is like, oh, I relink. Where do I go to? You find that file, Milton Glaser links, and it's the photo. And then you just hit place again. It didn't do anything because it was linked correctly. And then for the other ones, go to layers, make sure you work with the layers. It's very important to start learning these. And I'm gonna lock all of them, but the pink one, which is examples, I'm gonna go to file and place. It's the new speak, place. And then I'm gonna take the 3 examples and I'm gonna place them in. It shows 1 of 3 because I grabbed all 3. You can do 1 at a time if you're nervous, 2, whatever. But that shows I have 3, but I have to click 3 times, which is fine. And a lot of times, I do this constantly. So I'm constantly working on these projects where I put in like 3 images, and then I click and drag, and I swipe all 3. And a lot of times, I'll just change them all at once. And you can do that actually over here as well. There's a scale tool, which is sometimes hidden underneath the rotate tool. But if you double click on the scale and you just hit like 50%, it just makes them all smaller and easier to see. Or with them all grouped, you can hold down Shift and just kind of make them all smaller, just so like they're not blocking everything. Learn how to, and I've said this, and it is so important in Illustrator and in InDesign, is to always hold down Shift. I'm always holding down Shift when I scale stuff, because you want it in proportion. I don't want you to be like here and be like, oh, I need it to fit. There it goes. Like, you stretched it a little bit. That's illegal. You've heard me say this before about this. Is like, it's similar to if somebody posted a picture of you on the social media and they like just totally like made it really wide and we're like, here it is. And you're like, wait, people are seeing, why is my picture so wide? And like, oh, whatever. I just made it fit the frame. You know, it's okay. And you're like, no, I look like crap. Exactly. So like, I Heart New York, this is an iconic logo. That is not the logo. That's not the logo. That's not the logo. It is in this square format. Like, that's the logo. Even, and I'll notice images, like you'll be like, oh, I'll just do it like a little bit. And I'll be like, one of your images seems just a little bit off. Did you squish it? You're like, no, I didn't. You're like, oh God, I think I did. And then, you know, you get into it. Again, so scaling, always holding down the Shift button when I grab a corner. Again, we're talking about arrange. So I can grab that, go object, arrange, bring the front. Got my wine image. Gonna do the same. I'm gonna line it up with that, and I'm gonna use those magic sticking points. So if I go above that, magenta turns on. Perfect. If I grab this corner, hold down Shift, I see a magenta line. It's because of where my cursor is, but when that magenta line comes on, it means these 2 images are exactly the same size. Use the powers of the computer. It works so well. And then I'm just gonna go and undo these. I have to open those. I had them locked, so I couldn't move them. Milton here doesn't need to be resized, but he needs to line up with the I Heart New York that he designed. And then I lined it up. Okay, it's centered up. Now, when I move it, I'm holding down shift and I'm grabbing in the middle. I'm going to grab it and hold down shift. That means I can't move it anywhere else except for in this line. And when I get closer, I can do a 45 out and then straight up and down. But I can't, it constrains it. So once I get it lined up over here, I can just slide it over there and know that it is perfectly in line with that. Like that's why these programs are built like this. It didn't used to be like this. Back in the old days, the Illustrator didn't have these like snap to, and you would have to sit there and like I would zoom in like this close and be like, is it perfect? Is it like this corner touching that corner? And then I would move it over. It took forever. Now it's like you get it close, it snaps to. So much nicer. And we get this one. And this one. And these are base designs. We'll learn more about this in the future, but like, you know, I have a margin set on, nothing goes past the margin. Anything past the margin is considered like dead. It doesn't matter. It can get cut off. So I don't put anything important past the margin. You can have images bleed off. You've seen my other ones with the red goes all the way past, all that kind of stuff. I want to do a variety of designs to show you a variety of ways to use margins and stuff like that. And then even on this one, like I brought these images in from the margin. So there you go. Any questions, comments, or concerns about no more outlines and kind of working with these files? All right, cool. Well, thank you. You know how to get a hold of me. I'm always around, emails, whatever. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. And yeah, I'll be around. I'll stick around until around 4 o'clock today. All right. Thank you. Bye.